Let's try to find something here. The only times I see Merab in actual danger is when he gets caught with a good strike. He doesn't get knocked down or anything, but he definitely got wobbled. And I believe it hits harder because they have been all strikes he did not see coming. I hate to say this when he nearly finished Corey Sandhagen in his most recent fight with strikes, but I think his fight IQ may be his weakness, only by comparison of everything else he has. Everything else is a 10, such as his cardio, his takedown, his throws, but for me personally, I think his striking IQ is like a 6 or 7, which isn't bad, but it's not a 10, you know? So, and honestly, I don't even think it's striking IQ, it's more like striking defense IQ. He strikes good, but it's not the striking of a striker, if you can understand what I'm saying. He strikes like a wrestler on crack, which has its own benefits actually, but the con of that is that he might not be entering deep striking waters that he has no knowledge in, maybe. I dated this video pretty hard because I'm just doing a theory on this, but if Peter Yan came in super good at defending takedowns, Peter Yan could do a striking masterclass against Merab because the striking is just so high leveled. But then again, Peter Yan does have PTSD from their first fight, so he's going to be sprawling like he's going to be sprawling body jabs like a cat or something, so.
There were comments saying that video was too casual for them, but sometimes it's the simplest explanations. So we had the luxury to watch the Peter Yan vs Merab rematch where almost everyone thought it was going to be a filler fight. Oh yeah, just another Merab headlined event so we can finally jump into the big Paramount boys after. But no, the 400 plus underdog Peter Yan just schooled Merab. Where the past 3 opponents in the same year got schooled by Merab, Peter Yan did the absolute opposite. And I rewatched the fight almost 5 times, and each time I just realized how much of a dominating fight it was. Sometimes Merab's pressure looked like he was doing good in the fight, but it really didn't do anything. No offense. But also in saying that, I respect the heck out of Merab. He definitely did go toe-to-toe with Peter Yan, start till finish. Okay, and there have been some big posts on Twitter saying Merab is coping and making excuses for his loss. I'm just like, okay, what do you want him to do? Say he's a bitch and a loser and he's going to go home now? Image is everything in this sport. Regardless if you wanted to say that or not, and if he's a coping person or not, I feel like he needed to say something like that to still sell himself as a fighter coming off a loss, you know? So now let's dive into the greatness that could potentially be one of the best title fights of the year. Not that it was competitive to begin with for 2025, considering we had Chimaev versus DDP not too long ago. So round 1, Merab came in a lot more confident and had a lot more output in the first few minutes, mainly because he's still riding off the confidence from their first fight. And with that also being said, Yan starts off very passive because he knew what happened last fight and he's praying this new evolved game plan works. But slowly Yan opens up and things start to work. His high guard and body jabs made a great setup for his perfectly timed 1-2 on Merab.
Wallace really with some definite redness.
Nice right hand. He stung him. He's hurt.
By Yan.
How Peter Yan won this fight was that he is now a master of timing. I don't know if Yan's timing is god tier or we finally see the weakness of Merab, but Yan, unlike Merab's past opponents, has a strong read on his style, on Merab's style already, and is already being proactively defensive on everything. Like, it really looks like Yan is already there, cancelling a takedown before Merab got to it. And he's stiff jabbing Merab in that split moment where Merab opens up for his own jab. Just makes me excited to see future Yan pull off more slick moves, and bro is only 32. The first 2 minutes of round 2, Peter Yan was just defending takedowns that Merab was spamming. Merab's game plan is simple, but it always worked. He just punches you until you get scared of it, then he takes you down a lot until you are scared of that, then he mixes it so well where you get dominated and get freaking 50-45. But what happens when someone with good fight IQ like Yan studies endless amount of footage of you and your fighting skills? Which is kind of a small con when you think about it if you're a person that is too active and you have so much footage of yourself. Also, this is where Peter Yan's jabs come into play. It's a good move, where it looks like he's being defensive with his high guard, like he's inviting Merab to do something, and then he just jabs. It always lands. And shortly after, Jan takes advantage of that when Merab finally respects the jab to get a takedown. Merab is obviously still good too, retaliates with extreme pressure back no matter what, but the biggest highlight of the round was Peter Yan cutting Merab in the last moments. And now the kicks have begun, and the right hands have begun too, and the slams. Bro, we gotta appreciate fights like these. Chimaev just did what he needed to do, right? A free win is a free win if the opponent can't even get to your grappling level. So when two high-level fighters actually scrap MMA style like this, I just gotta respect it. Only until mid-round 3, where Merab got a moment that was really great for him. But sadly, Jan just gets back up and it's back to how it was. Merab is now desperate in the last half of round 3, where he just wants to get something down. Just nail one thing to mentally scare Jan so it can start a momentum for other things. In my video, I said that Merab isn't that good when it comes to striking in high-level deep waters. So him trying to force a game plan just made him reckless, which leads to the jabs making Merab bleed more and that brutal body kick.
Just kind of hitting him.
If Merab needs to showcase what makes him the best, it needs to be now, because this would be the only time where cardio can shine the most. But he didn't utilize the first 3 rounds prior to make Jan scared of anything. And surprisingly, he didn't even wear out Jan physically in the first rounds too. So the machine is the perfect nickname for Merab when you think about it. The good and bad aspects. It's good because a machine is at optimal performance until it dies. If unless Merab gets KO'd, he's going to be a machine and keep pressuring. But because the machine is such a stiff meaning, where if you can adapt against the machine, then you basically won. Because Jan levels up even higher by switching stances now. And we all know how proficient Southpaw Jan is. Jan also has the pressure here too for some parts of the round as well, so it's not looking good for Merab at all. And the only thing holding Merab up is his cardio and his chin. Merab is trying to secure something like a solid punch or a solid takedown, but Jan is too much in the zone. Round 5. Just like I said before in my other video, Merab's striking is like a wrestler on frickin' crack. It's not like Ilia Topuria, where you can see the blend of boxing style mixed with his Greco-Roman wrestling, but even in round 5, Merab still competes for pressure to a high level, which is why Peter Yan in the post-fight interview said this.
At what point in the fight did you feel like this is definitely going to be my night? Like, I mean, you were out wrestling and you were out striking him, but when did you say, I'm definitely the better man tonight?
You know, I don't know if there was actually a moment when I realized, you know, the fight is mine. I knew that the entire time I had to push my initiative. I had to make sure to give damage, to damage him. So there wasn't like an actual moment where I knew.
Jan isn't scared of anything coming into round 5. He already survived the biggest punches, the biggest takedowns, and the biggest submission attempts already. Also, I don't like looking at the frickin' stats, because for every garbage 20 swings Merab does, no offense, Jan just retaliates and does a solid 1 body kick that shakes up Merab's body that counts as a rock, but that also just counts as 1 significant strike. So it makes it look like it was an even match despite seeing the giant damage gap. And Jan finally seals it by 1 more giant takedown on the Takedown King. So your Peter Yan is goated, and I'm excited to see where the bantamweight division goes.